14.
At 5:30.
On Thursday?
Yes.
This Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah. 14. They're both in microphones.
I'm sure it's just a secret.
You guys don't mind waiting. Yay! Now we can move on. Now we can start the meeting.
Were they split?
Those are like first to ask.
Alright, thanks.
Yep.
One of the guys. Xavier has a starting buzzer chant going after they beat us.
Yeah, did they win?
I heard one of the announcers say that. That might be a little too soon.
Yeah, one now. Thursday. Also, you feel like huge.
6 o'clock, we're going to call this meeting to order. Roll call. Jerry here.
Kathy here.
John here.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second. Amended agenda. I'll second.
Jerry, aye.
Kathy, yeah.
John,
Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Jerry, aye.
Kathy, yeah.
John,
Budget amendment public hearing.
Notice was published on October 28th.
I will open the public hearing. If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Jerry, aye.
Kathy, yeah.
John,
Resolution to approve the fiscal 20 budget amendment. This will be resolution number 61.
Motion.
Go ahead.
Make a motion to approve the resolution approving fiscal year 20 budget amendment. Karen, aye.
Jerry, aye.
Kathy, yeah.
John,
Peosta Community Center update.
You guys have any questions on the update? One of the things, we had our Mother's Thunder Force last Friday. I said we had 108 when I wrote this. We ended up with 216 people. So we actually doubled that from, so it was cool. A bit chaotic, but it was cool for our first time doing that, so.
That's pretty awesome.
I was kind of wondering why you have your special event on December 12th. Wasn't that originally scheduled for the February event or something?
No, I mean, we did the Hippies just the last 2 years, and we very he actually is doing a show for NICC before that, and he was hoping that we could pull Steph over as well on that date, so that's how the date came about.
Any others?
Unless you guys have any questions.
No? If not, we'll move on to the police department, monthly report.
You guys have any questions for me on that?
I like the decals on the squad.
Good, yeah.
That actually looks like a cop car.
Right, yeah, it turned out really good.
Yep.
You know, I got a lot of feedback from the public, they all like it too, you know, it's good transition.
Yeah.
No questions, we'll move on to the police officer hiring.
Yeah, I made a recommendation to hire Zach Lacey. He was a 6-year police officer in law enforcement, and he's currently has 2.5 years with Dyersville, and I'd like to take him on board.
Well,
I'll make a motion to approve Zach Lacey for the position of police officer.
I'll second. Jerry, aye.
Kathy, I.
John, I.
And then with that, if I can just have him do the police officer oath right now.
Yep.
All right, raise your right arm. I, Zach Lacey, do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States
I, Zach Lacey, do solemnly swear that I support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability, discharge all the duties of a Peosta police officer,
and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my ability, discharge all the duties of a Peosta police officer,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now or hereafter required by law.
Congrats.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Any others? If not, we'll move on to Public Works monthly report.
Does anyone have any questions on the report items?
Looks like you just got Cap Drive and the road all repaired just in time for the winter.
Yeah, exactly.
Decided
We're
to
passing
step
through.
in. That's crazy.
Actually, it was nice to put it in a little summer, but
How'd the salt with the new salt that we're using? Did we use any of that?
yeah, we're using it. I think it's gonna be 100% of that this year. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell, I guess.
You're not convinced yet, are you?
I wouldn't say I'm not convinced. I'm not opposed to it. I mean, I'm not disappointed with it. I don't know if we got a true test on it.
We got an early test.
Pardon?
We got an early test.
We got an early test, yeah. Yeah, we're definitely putting less down,
Oh,
and I think it's working well. Unless any of you guys are seeing any different.
No.
Nothing else for the monthly report. We'll move on to the main lift station pump replacement or repair.
I discussed this real briefly with you guys at the work session, and Dean can hop in. I think we've had even some further evolution since we talked to you last. So there's actually a new quote in board docs now, which is I just put in there about 10 minutes ago. That is just for the repair for 2 of them, which essentially keeps us going. some more data to know what size of pumps even need to go in these things. With the growth we've had and the potential for really a massive amount of expansion in a short period of time, it doesn't make sense to purchase pumps that would likely not be big enough. And so I think, go ahead.
I think with growth of town, rather than, replacing to the same horsepower of what we're at now, our capability is the same if we, replace what we have. So basically with the growth that's going on, heavy growth to the north and the possibilities of possibly NICC, some additional growth up there, I think it's something we need to do a study on and possibly increase our horsepower on our pumps. Considering that we're pretty well maxed out now, with our infiltration on these hard rains and stuff that we've been getting throughout the year.
As we're looking at especially some like multi-use buildings or apartment, that really can add a lot of volume very quickly. So it's just something we haven't been able to consider. There's flows and data and numbers that they can figure out. So it's the potential for, we're obviously exploring some multi-residential housing uptown, but also we know that Crossvic has some planned down in Thunder Valley, which is right into the Highway 20 lift station. So both of the lift stations in question, well, the third, including NICC, could really see a very quick uptick in flow. So we just want to make sure we're pursuing smart growth as opposed to band-aiding something which maybe we might have 3 worthless pumps, brand new pumps in a couple of years because they're too small.
We'll be able to get by fixing 2 and going through the study.
So 2 is a much needed as far as the repairs. And as far as that goes, until we can study them, I think we can get by limiting 2 of them the way they are in operation now as well. But I think, we are in dire need of 2 repairs. Until we get a decision made on, size, upsize.
So is the quote in here for the $9,000, is that the quote for the 2 repairs?
That's the 2 repairs.
Yep, and there were some additional extra parts that were requested that, I don't remember what they were called. So that the other 2 will still have if we needed to. Oh no, that was if we were going to replace.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this
The quote is for a repair on 2.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah. So it's my understanding you're asking for a quote, an updated quote on 2 replacements, but I didn't see that.
No, he called back at the end of the day and I said,
Okay.
we don't know what size we want, so we'll just. So this is the minimum to keep us going. It also is likely high. He asked if I wanted him to guesstimate on labor or just give us the top dollars and give me the top amount so we could rather work down and work up. So this would be not to exceed.
I'll make a motion to approve the repair of the 2 pumps not to exceed the $9,005.32 mark.
I'll second. Caroline? Karen, aye.
Jerry,
Kathy, aye.
John,
any other?
Is compost site officially closed?
No, it's not. I'm quite sure that Shandi posted it for the 1st, December 1st.
Alright,
So yeah, we don't.
that's good.
Pardon me.
That's good.
Not so sure if we keep getting these snowballs, it'd be nice to get the truck converted over if that's the case.
That's true.
Move on to administration. Resolution obligating funds for urban renewal tax revenue fund for appropriation of payment of annual appropriation tax finance obligation which will come due in the next succeeding fiscal year for Bodine Electric. This one's number 62.
I'll make a motion for resolution 19 obligating funds from the urban renewal tax revenue fund and appropriation to the payment of annual appropriation tax increment finance obligation shall come due in the next succeeding fiscal year for both the electric.
I'll second.
Caroline? Karen, I.
Jerry, I.
Kathy, aye.
John, I.
Next resolution for obligating funds for urban rural tax revenue fund appropriation to payment for annual appropriation tax financed obligations which shall come due in the next succeeding year fiscal year for Berry Plastics. 63.
Make a motion for resolution 2019-63, a resolution obligating funds from the urban renewal tax revenue fund for the appropriation to the payment of annual appropriation tax increment financed obligations which shall come due in the next succeeding fiscal year.
I'll second.
Caroline?
Karen, I.
Jerry, I.
Kathy, aye.
John, I.
Next one's a resolution for obligating funds from the urban rural tax revenue fund for the appropriation to the payment of the annual appropriation tax increment finance obligations which come due in the next succeeding fiscal year for Fairway stores. This is 64.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 1964, resolution obligating funds from the Urban Renewal Tax Revenue Fund for appropriation to the payment of annual appropriation tax increment financed obligations which shall come due in the next succeeding fiscal year Fairway stores.
I'll second.
Caroline?
Karen, I.
Jerry, I.
Kathy, aye.
John, I.
And the last, renewal obligation funds from the Urban Renewal Tax Revenue Fund for appropriation to the payment of the annual appropriation tax increment finance obligations which shall come due in the next succeeding fiscal year for Penske.
I'll make a motion, resolution 1965, resolution obligating funds from the urban renewal tax revenue fund for appropriation to the payment and annual appropriation tax increment finance obligation which shall come due in the next succeeding fiscal year in Penske.
I'll second.
Caroline?
Karen, I.
Jerry, I.
Kathy, aye.
John, I.
Fiscal year 21 TIF indebtedness certification for Dubuque County.
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 TIF indebtedness certification.
I'll second.
Caroline?
Karen, I.
Jerry, I.
Kathy, aye.
John, I.
Resolution approving Hausch Place plat number 2.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution approving Hosh Place plat number 2.
I'll second.
Caroline?
Karen, I.
Jerry, I.
Kathy, aye.
John, I.
Mayor vacancy.
I would like to put a motion forward to nominate Karen Lyons as the next mayor of Peosta, filling the vacancy created by the resignation of Larry Mesher. Karen has the experience and knowledge to carry out the duties of the mayor. She has served in on many committees and is always the first to step up and represent the city. She is a former small business owner in Peosta and is very capable of working with the business community as well as the residents.
I think absolutely not. I think this needs to go to a vote.
I think we all
We all had this conversation.
on Thursday.
We had this conversation Thursday. It needs to go to a vote. There's really no reason that I can think of that we're taking this decision out of the city's hands.
I think I'll second the motion.
I don't think you can. It's based on you.
And I'll second the motion.
But, there isn't enough time for that vote.
We got till January 7th.
This will give them more time if they want it. If the residents want an election, it'll give them more time.
Karen, if you want the position, run.
Either way, we're gonna have to have
Avoid an
elections.
election.
I'm sorry?
We can avoid an election by.
Why are we running from an election?
We're gonna have to have
Because we
elections to
just
fill your
had-
position.
We just had an election. This is how it works, Karen. Elections mean something.
We just had an election.
Yeah, let's have another one.
The ideal situation would have been to go along the lines of the vote count on the election, but for various reasons, the ones that would have been next in line didn't accept it.
The right thing to do is put this in front of the citizens. That's 100% the right thing to do. It's not,
This is putting it in front of the citizens, John. We have Karen in there, they have 14 days.
so why do we go through this? Why do we go through this? Why don't we put it in front of the citizens, period, end of discussion? Then they can make the decision. Who runs, who wants to run, who gets the votes, and
put
just do
name
it the
on the
normal,
ballot.
Because we can appoint somebody now and go about the city's business and put this behind us.
Are we not doing the city's business right now? What's being held up? Can you answer
I
that?
think we have someone
what's Karen?
clearly
You said that something's not
qualified.
being held up. What is not being done? That we need to rush into this.
We have a mayor pro tem, we don't have a mayor.
Okay, is there something not being done right now?
I'm sure there's things being put off.
What exactly is it? If we're gonna make
I
this
just
statement,
think she's clearly qualified, and if anyone has a resistance to that, they have the 14 days to come forward.
This way, you're giving the resident the option. Do we want to bother with a vote over the holidays? Or,
this is not our decision.
no, it's not, if they can still,
This is not my decision. This is their decision.
right?
So why not leave it to their
So
decision?
why not appoint somebody, and if the residents want an election, they will tell us.
Why are we running away from an election?
Why are we not?
Why are we bothering?
We had an election last
Someone in
week.
place
Yes.
that is qualified.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
We're putting someone in place that is very qualified.
I disagree with that.
She's been mayor pro tem for all the years.
Has she ever actually had to serve those positions?
She served in plenty of positions. Meetings, committees.
But that's different than being the mayor.
Right.
So,
You had the opportunity at the.
no, we had this discussion on Thursday.
But
Why
at that
wasn't this
time,
brought
we
up
thought
on
we could
Thursday?
have an election in February.
Yes.
But it turns out, if we're gonna have an election, it has to be December 7th.
January 7th.
January
Or January 7th.
What day between December 17th and January 7th will count as a day? We might as well have it on the 17th then.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Yeah.
The business days between December 17th and January 7th, how many are there?
I'm assuming you did the math. What is the
Not very
math?
many,
Okay.
because you figure Christmas Eve, Saturday, Sunday, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
Okay.
We
But-
might as well have
but-
it December 17th
But
then.
my question, my concern is this, is we are not the ones that are supposed to choose who is leading this town. We are supposed to be put in position by the citizens, okay?
And to appoint Karen, the citizens have 14 days.
So why do we go through this? Why jump through these hoops? Why not just go straight to an election, like we discussed on Thursday? What's changed since Thursday for your point of view?
And we've had citizens
That we
there at the
found
meeting on
qualified.
The
Thursday,
date
and
of
they
the
voiced their
election
opinion.
has changed.
Everything that Jerry said at that meeting, she fills that the qualifications that came forward that day.
Why
That's
didn't
what
you
brought
say
this
something during the
forward.
meeting then?
Because you were saying we had until February 4th.
It's not what I said.
That would be enough time for
You have
somebody
plenty
to
of
get a
time.
campaign together if they wanted to. If you have to go between December 17th and January 7th, there's no time. That's not even a fair election for the residents. It wouldn't
So
be fair
it's
to
not a
the
fair
candidates.
election for the residents. It's pushed out to January 7th. 17th? but it's fair to the residents for us to ramrod someone through.
If you appoint somebody, how much more time will we get? We will gain more time to get through the holidays, and then if the residents want an election.
What's the rush?
If there's an,
No, that's
if
not
there's
the
an
case.
objection.
So what has to happen if this is how you want to proceed? So there needs to be a motion stating that the council will appoint at the next meeting. If you want Karen to be able to vote on it, her name cannot be part of the motion. So if the motion includes her name, you have to abstain. If the motion states the council intends to appoint someone at the next meeting, then that could be the motion. That would instruct the clerk to publish the notice. From the day the notice is published, the residents have 14 days from the notice publication or the date and the date of the appointment. So it's essentially 28 days. At 14 days from as soon as the notice is published, the residents could bring a petition. Also, when the appointment would be formally made, which would be at the next meeting, which would have to pass, then it would also, then there's 14 days from that appointment. 14 days after that, a petition could also be brought. So it is not until 14 days after the appointment that any appointment, and this will be the same process that would then actually have to be re-triggered by an empty council seat. So that is the process. So there's
So either way, we're gonna have to have an
So we
election.
gain time, totally gain time over the holidays.
No, but your main concern was
Candidates
saving
wanna
the time
run.
to do election, and we're gonna have to do an election either way, so.
If there aren't any candidates. it's
How do you know
what's
there's no
on.
candidates? We haven't even opened it up for an election yet.
We don't need to.
Why don't we,
I
why don't we need to?
strongly disagree. I think we should open it up.
Why
because
don't we need to,
should
Karen?
appoint this position.
What do you mean by that? Why
We
don't-
talked about this on Thursday.
This is the general way things are done, especially when you had an election last week. The normal progression would be take the highest voters.
So,
I don't
take the
know.
highest voters. I guess this is where it kind of confused me. You want to take the highest voters. Okay.
But then.
So what we're asking to be done is to appoint a mayor that barely won her council seat. Won by 4 votes.
You talking about me?
Yes.
Oh.
And then appoint a council member who just got voted out. Where is this election, how does that fit into the grand scheme of things?
Yes, yes.
Whether a person barely wins their council seat or barely loses is irrelevant.
Is that even something that
Winning
can happen?
and losing.
I agree with you, but my point is we're going to elevate this person to mayor and she
For mayor.
barely won.
How about that?
Can you run through the procedure again? How's
Yeah,
this work?
so what needs to happen, the first thing that needs to happen is the council needs to instruct the clerk to publish a notice stating that the council intends to appoint a mayor. The name does not have to be included.
Okay.
In fact, it probably shouldn't be included because, well, if it is included, that person has to abstain. from
Okay.
the vote. So that would be at the next meeting, that an actual appointment would be made. So we would send the notice, Karen will send the notice to the TH tomorrow, they will publish it, it will instruct the residents that they have 14 days from the notice and or the appointment to file a petition requesting that said vacancy be filled by special election. So the next meeting will come, XYZ is appointed mayor. If 14 days lapse after that and no petition is received, that position becomes permanent. If after 2 days we receive a petition, it has to be filed at the city clerk's office, then that appointment is still valid, but it is deemed temporary and it ends at the special election. The process for this and a council vacancy are identical.
Okay.
Same process.
So I should just make a motion to appoint someone.
The council
At the next
intends to
meeting.
appoint a mayor at the November
26th meeting.
So we're going to take and just bypass all elections and just start appointing people.
No,
No.
That's what we're
they
doing.
have 14 days.
Yep.
I think there was some citizen comment.
Yeah, there was a person that wanted to comment, sorry.
If somebody wants to say something, I think we need some more
regardless of this being the fact that we have holidays coming up, everybody's busy, but we all see the importance of continuing to promote our community and what's best for us. So I think a general election to me is an opportunity for all of the citizens to have a say as opposed to 5 people. And I don't have anything against the council, don't get me wrong. That's not my point. It's just the idea that if we really want to represent the city, we really need to hold the city and let them have a say. And I think it's regardless of holidays or dates or weeks or whatever. So, my opinion.
She said what I was gonna say. Like she said, if you have like nobody else running, why would her to just solidify her position as mayor? Like if there's no one else running, why would you be scared of this?
Well, this was just more to give the residents time to have an election after the holidays. That's the only reason that this was done. That I would take, it wasn't something I'm going after. It's not something that I really had an ambition for. It will just make it easier for those residents to do what they want to do and give them more time.
But I just think it makes all the more sense for the city to have the opportunity to express its feelings about
But the
it.
thing is, and they can, there's nothing to stop them, but this will put it after the holidays.
No, their election will still be on the 7th. It will always be on January 7th.
It'll always be on second.
Just because that's the, right? Which, I mean, it doesn't matter.
So we're not, by doing this, we would not be buying them.
It'd be a little tougher actually. Because we.
It's gonna shorten it.
If there is a.
If the petition is received.
If the petition is received, it's fine, but if there is, it's gonna shorten our time.
I think we should go through an election.
We have
This gives
a motion, maybe or not.
this gives us the optimum amount of time for an election.
We have a motion on the table. We have a
I
second.
think we already discussed this on Thursday. I don't understand why we.
Why
go
we're
through
trying to jam this
these
through.
meetings.
It was a date.
We go through, the date doesn't really matter.
It does.
No, it doesn't. It's all about what's best for the city, you're not
The
caring.
date matters.
It does not.
So,
It absolutely does
doesn't
not
actually.
matter.
so we went through this whole work session, wasted, what, 3 hours to come to this kind of decision again? That's what's beyond frustrating right now, is we cannot function as a council. It's this side meeting conversation that I didn't know about this. We had a Thursday meeting, this should have been aired out in. Why do it now in front of all the people so we all look like idiots again? Frustrating, Doug.
I personally think if you do appoint somebody, I said this that Thursday, you guys already have a black eye. And it's just over. Just like the lady from me said, that, you know, you're the council, we're the citizens have the right to do those. And by looking into it, if Karen did get appointed, and there was a petition, I think that she would be pursued, because she's automatically mayor to the guy's appointment. And they had a resolution petition sent out, I think that she would automatically lose her seat on the council. She just can't say, okay, I'm done with mayor, going back to city council.
But I would lose my seat. So,
You on the election, correct?
Hmm?
And then we'd be on the election again, correct? With the mayor.
You'd have two elections going, you'd have one to replace Kathy and to replace the mayor.
So that's why I still think we just do what we planned on doing. We all discussed and agreed upon on Thursday.
you thought that the election would be the 4th of February, which gave
It doesn't, the date doesn't.
That was just the date we put out there because I assumed it was still fun.
We tried
I
working
didn't-
backwards from the dates from the information we had.
Yeah. So
But
yeah,
it
my
doesn't,
fault. I
the dates
picked
doesn't,
February
the date
4th.
does not
But it
mean,
did- I
does
didn't
not
know.
explain,
You didn't know.
the date doesn't explain why we're trying to avoid an election. I really feels like we're trying to avoid something.
We are trying to avoid election because we want to get on with business at hand.
What,
so
and you've said that 2 or 3
We
times.
gotta
and
rehash all the
you've
last
yet,
couple months.
you've
for
yet
election.
to give me what's not getting done that needs to get done. You've yet to give me, you said that 3 times now. You've yet to tell me what is not being done for the citizens that would be getting done if we appointed you.
We could be doing other business rather than.
Such
discussing this.
as,
Rather than spending time on this, we could be taking care of other business.
such as,
Whatever comes up.
and what's not getting done.
I'm tired of this disorganization. I'm tired of.
Disorganization? What? You're the direct result of the disorganization. 100%.
Sorry?
What's that? You can't tell me that you're not.
Means that one of you three would have stepped up and taken the position.
No, because we're doing what is best for the city, not what's best for us. Because it's just.
I think that's what we have here. I think that we have a difference of opinion. I'm trying to, the decisions I make here is with the best interest of the citizens. I think sometimes there's decisions made here what's in best interest for themselves and the agenda that they brought to this.
Which is not our role. We should not be doing that. We're not sitting here to have our own personal agendas.
None of us have.
I don't.
None of
I
us
can
have.
truly say I do not have a personal
I
agenda.
do not have a personal agenda. I never have.
Well.
The only reason I brought it up is because of the points that you brought up at that meeting. She has the qualifications for it.
Well,
That's it. If
that's
she
fine.
doesn't want
You know,
to,
the points
then-
are fine. That's
Right,
because
those
that's what
points
the
are fine.
mayor,
That
the
was
mayor
all.
needs to do that, right? They need to fill those roles. We have to have a
That's
person
what I'm
like
saying.
that.
Yeah.
But we also have to go through the election process. We don't know what else is out there.
Just because we believe someone should have the time
Who else
to
is out
meet the business owners doesn't mean the citizens need to have that. But
Yeah,
that's not what
this-
they want.
this
This
is
is
not-
what we want,
Yeah.
is to have the open, to be able to meet with the business owners, to have that flexible schedule, everything else that Jerry brought up, right?
Right.
That's our wish list. Our wish list doesn't mean anything. It's gotta be what they want.
It's a role. It's a position that should be voted on and picked by the people, not us. Doug said it. Black eye. You want to get a bigger black eye? Appoint somebody.
Why do we have a black eye?
Oh,
What opinion, who told you that and why? I mean, what are they blaming the council for? Do you,
Disorganization, big time,
as far as,
not good at all. I mean, when I was going
This kind of stuff.
door to door, I mean, that's all I.
well, this is discussion. This is not, huh?
I mean, the citizens are tired of a 3-2 votes. Why is it always 3-2? Why is it always 3-2? They kept asking me that, I said, don't ask me, ask the council.
When has it
What's
ever been
always 3 to 2?
There's a lot of votes, it's 3-2.
That last vote?
There's a lot of votes that it's 3-2.
Really?
Karen, is there?
So like the space study, the
Like
charge
two
time
over
police
the
The
last
officer.
space study,
Right.
yeah.
she's name is long.
Those are the two that I go to.
Is there more than 2?
Well,
No,
those
those
were the
two.
two that were then, that were reported.
I don't think there may be 3 over the last 4 years, or at
But
the
again-
last 2 years.
Again, though, it's not,
Maybe
it's-
3
it's-
over the last 2 years.
but Karen, it's, what we're missing here, it's not what our perception is, it's the perception of the citizens, and their perception is their reality.
But who gave them that perception?
I would believe that they got their own perception. They're on their own people. Granted, they don't come to every council meeting, but they have these audio tapes to listen to every meeting. They can review the minutes. People talk. TH, yeah. I mean, you got to educate yourself, right? So people do.
We have a motion on the table.
I'll make a motion to approve a special election.
I'll second.
Nay.
Carla, nay.
Jerry, aye.
What happened to the first one?
We didn't have a vote,
You
we
didn't
had
vote
a
on the first
motion.
motion, then you vote on the second motion.
There's a motion on the table to it that the council is, instructing the clerk to publish and intends to appoint a mayor November 26th meeting.
Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
That was my motion.
Kathy made a motion, seconded by Carla, to instruct the clerk to publish notices the council intends to appoint a mayor at the November 26th meeting.
We're voting on that.
We need a second first. I don't know if you know how this works.
Carla seconded it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes.
What'd you vote?
Yes.
Nay.
Aye.
Not a chance, no.
Karen, how did you vote? You voted
A, yes.
aye? Yes. We'll publish and see what happens.
So we've had citizens sit here tell us what we should do, and we just completely did the opposite of it. So we're saying that we know better than the citizens. That's absolutely awful.
No, John,
Absolutely
that's
awful.
not what we're saying.
They just told us to go to an election, and we're saying no.
And we're going to. They have 14 days after the publication to find out.
Who's wasting time now then? This is absolutely ridiculous.
No,
No.
this way it's out there in front of the people.
Sign
to
permit.
know what's out there.
For, 4 Bulldogs property, Equity Point.
Motion to approve this. Sign application for Bulldog Properties.
I'll second it, Carla.
Karen, aye.
Terry, aye.
Kathy, aye.
John,
Additional lighting request at the hotel.
We just accept a motion to approve the request and I will move the project forward.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for additional lighting at the hotel.
A second.
Carla, name.
Karen, aye.
Terry, aye.
Kathy, aye.
John,
Any others? We're gonna move on to the CIP department requests.
Okay, so, of course, I do have to provide you a new back page because I got the results of the stormwater study, which you'll see I uploaded some maps. So I just added text and stuff right on the end. So you can just, basically those last 4 items will be kind of scored, or I know we don't have a lot of time, but they, so the maps, I can give out this one. The stormwater project maps includes the information that, oh, yeah. So I tried to, they're really hard to read. I tried to note, and the cost estimates, I think I tried to match them up with the projects, so. And there is an opportunity for some of those to maybe be handled with the sponsored project money. The way, that's kind of a moving target though, so the way that's gonna work is we now have to have some meetings with the engineers and the watershed authorities and IDOLs. And we had a pretty extensive meeting. He was involved with MSA and Eric Schmeckel. And so we identified a lot of water issues. Jerry was also in attendance all over the whole city. So we really have a good list. We probably have, I think we have 10 projects on there. Didn't think he had as many issues until he really started digging in there. But it's great. I mean, not all of these are like emergency things, but they are opportunities to upgrade infrastructure, you know, make some of our detention larger. So what happens kind of is the state comes in and they sort of like pick and choose, like, we like this one and this meets our goals, and we don't really like that one. So we kind of have to be shifty and fluid when we're moving with them. So that's why I have it noted that we can possibly pay for some of those with sponsored projects. So we just need to keep, I guess, maybe keep those in mind. We don't really have to go in depth, but I wanted to make sure they're on there, so I just included the ones that look like they're gonna have to be handled at some point in that 1 to 5 year frame. Now I just wanna remind you that we will update this, and we're not gonna go through this whole process every year. It's taking several meetings, but we will make changes and additions as necessary. So this isn't like one shot and done. But I think maybe we'll just go through by pages and see if you guys have any questions. So like on page 1, if you have any questions about any of those projects or any information you need that would inform your ranking.
On page 1?
Yes.
It's cold in here.
Yeah, that's just that air comes on and just icing out.
I don't have anything on page.
My coat tonight?
No, I got it here. Just my fingers.
I wore a blanket this meeting, so I'm.
I was wondering, if you do an update on this chamber, would an acoustical ceiling help? Have we discussed that?
Dean, we looked into this a little, and we talked about how do we upgrade this room so that we don't get like every sound coming from the rest of the building amplified.
I think what it's gonna amount to is drilling holes in them hollow core walls and injecting them with foam. And also our piping for our drainage, our stormwater would probably have to be insulated as well, you know, as far as on the rain, when we get some rain and stuff. But we're getting some echo from that as well.
It wouldn't help to just lower the ceiling.
Is it because we?
No, because it's the outside noise that we're getting, that's a distraction.
And is there an issue with sprinklers too in that?
They would, the sprinkler heads would have to be
That's what
lowered.
it was, right?
But this is basically just to talk about the study, right? Do a study on it?
Well, that was, Karen submitted these items before the ill-fated space study died a terrible death. So that was what that was referencing. But, yeah, I mean, we could, I think we would have, that would have to be pending some further discussion on if you guys want to go ahead and make some upgrades to this room, or if you want to have a longer term discussion about the future of City Hall. I mean, if you see us here for 20 years, then I think it's
I
probably
think we need to
appropriate to
have,
upgrade.
longer term.
Yeah, I think a study is probably what's needed to evaluate. I'm not an engineer, so I can't sit here and logically tell you what needs to be done here. So,
And I think it seemed like that's kind of what we were thinking too, of with this
Well,
pushed out.
for a very, very minimal, the carpet in the offices and this carpet needs to go. There's a lot of other flooring that's been replaced in the building. It's
It's original, correct?
16 years old, 100 years old it is, and, we know we have water that comes in through the windows sometimes. It needs to go, and I don't think it's best to put carpet back down. I would probably look at some other.
I mean, I think we need to take a look at the long term, where we see ourselves in 5, 10, 15 years as far as what space is being used now, what space can be used then. I mean, it's just, we have to take a look at that. I don't think taking a look and saying, well, let's just replace the carpet, spend $2 or $3 grand on that is well worth our time or money. I mean, do we see ourselves here in 20 years?
yeah, I think that's where the study comes into play. You know, we're looking at $10,000 to $300,000.
Let's narrow that down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, let's get a better idea of what we're actually looking at doing and what we can do with what we got, right?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense why we don't have that done.
The study that we, tabled was on the police station.
But I think that was a bigger picture to take a look at what we can do with the space down there if we can consolidate everything.
Yeah, it was meant to be, right, it was, right, moving City Hall down.
And if I recall properly, didn't the mayor, previous mayor sign that and send that study in anyway?
Yeah, I instructed to hold on that based on the fact that we wanted to make sure it was properly authorized. In my opinion, I mean, that information is worthless unless you guys feel good about, wanted you guys to feel good about it.
Well, there's a difference between doing a study down there to see if City Hall can be squeezed into it and doing a study up here to see what would be the best situation to do.
Well, I think the first thing we need to know is that even a feasible option? If that's not a feasible option, okay, now let's take a look at what we have up here. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
No, because there's no space down there.
How do you know?
We
Are
don't
you an
know that.
engineer?
So, and part of what we would ask that study, what the scope, and I know those things are hard to read, is that they provide us information on the square footage that City Hall needs. So they look at the square footage that we have, for general office space, they recommend X amount of square feet per employee, and like, our biggest problem here, he said, is you don't have any transition space. So the office size is decent, the fact that there are no hallways, there's no common space, that affects flow, they have all these different, so part of the good information we would get is, okay, City Hall staff, as it is now, essentially needs 1,000 square feet or something, so that would be some of the valuable information that I think we would need, that would apply to, then that can be applied to the PD or, the public works shed or wherever stick us. So it's there's probably gonna have to be two different spaces or more that are studied. What inventory what we currently have and need, and then, also whatever other location they're gonna try to, we could be silly. Does that make sense? It's kind of it's a dual.
The police department was built to contain 5 to 7 officers. If you take the city staff and our 3 officers,
But the good thing is the 3 officers are never usually working at one time. So it's a little, their workflows, while we are always not at the same time, they're not always there. There's different things they consider. Yeah, it's not a simple.
And from what I've understood, correct me if I'm wrong, but police officers are used to using shared desks, common areas, right?
Yes.
And that building is specifically built for individual offices, which is something that even the chief said they don't need. So
A lot of the time, what we do is we're supposed to be in the car anyway. I want our guys out in the car, being out in public, doing their thing out in public. The only time they should be in the office is, if they have, working on a case or investigation that requires them to be in there to do work on the computer in their office. Otherwise, I want them out in the car.
but it's not what it was designed to do. It's not what it's getting used for now. It's what is going to be used for in the future. We got to find out what's going on here. It's no different than doing a wastewater treatment or wastewater collection. What am I trying to think? We just did one. You know what I mean? You got to do all these different studies. You're going to do a Parks and Rec map, hopefully, do a study so we can figure out all the different trails in town. So we just don't spend 15,000 here, and hopefully that trail matches up here. We got to have a plan. We're a city. We need to have.
I think that was the
blueprint as to
problem to
what's going
start
on.
with. We didn't have a study or a plan down there, so
So,
all that space is misappropriated.
yeah, but you gotta get past what happened, right? And we have to move forward into what's going to be used for. What is it? What's logical for the city here or there or neither?
where are you going to park the cars now?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Why are you asking me
Why don't we
questions?
talk
I already
to
said I'm not
people?
an engineer. This is why we need to do a study.
So we just recently talked about the city having a black eye. Okay, that we are disorganized and we can't agree to anything. We can't agree on a $3,000 space study that the money was given to us.
was
It was
$3,000.
$3,000 to do the study.
And the check was written out to the city as a donation.
So
And here we
that's
are,
where
we're
our,
still
that's where our
fighting.
disorganization, the people, the citizens think that we don't know what the heck we're doing. Because we can't simply agree to do a study that was paid for us by a citizen. It's free money for us to do this study. Why aren't we doing it? It's in the best interest to do the study. The money's given to us. It's free money. It's not taxpayers' money.
It was given to us grudgingly.
It doesn't. We have the money. We have the money.
Well, I don't see. Now I'm confused because I don't know who actually has the grudge. Karen, who's got the grudge here? The gentleman that gave us the $3,000 is not holding a grudge. He gave the city the money. Sounds like the grudge is sitting at one of these tables.
The
The
gentleman-
personal agenda. Getting back into personal agenda. What are you here for? Are you here to do what's best for the city, or are you here to do what's best for you? This is
I'm looking out for the
getting to the
residents.
point.
I'm not looking out for certain businesses.
So you can say that taxpayer money is better spent if you use our funds, our money, the city's funds versus ones that's been given by a taxpayer. $3,000 or the study's been already given and donated. No, we don't want that. We don't want it because it came from somebody. We don't want that. I'd rather have I'd rather us pay for the funds or pay for the study. That doesn't make any sense.
Irregardless of the money, the reason I voted against it was because we just spent $1 million on that building, which was not built right to start with. And then to say it was going to be hundreds of thousands more to either gut the building or add on to it, I thought was being irresponsible for the citizens to have to deal with that again on a building that we just finished.
I thought the reason that you didn't,
And now it's unusable the way it is.
I thought the reason you didn't vote for that space study was because you didn't like the engineer presentation.
His presentation was horrible.
Yeah, the building
But
is. to
my
correct you
reason
there-
for
No,
voting
no, to correct
against
you.
it was because
The building is
once you did the study, then you wanted to proceed with it. And if we weren't going to proceed with it for years down the road, I thought the study should wait until we were ready to proceed. That was my
We don't know whether
reason.
it's going to cost us $1,000 to make it ready for us or $15 million to make it ready.
And the building is
We don't
usable
know.
right now. It's currently being used as our police department.
It's looking forward into the future.
I
That's,
think-
As far as City Hall, it's not usable.
Well, I'm looking at a $10,000 to $300,000 cost estimate in front of me.
Right.
I know I'm the new kid here, but I would just argue in general and state that we have to, with all of this planning and stepping online, I can see what you're saying because I know that's traditionally how things have been done, but the problem is we have to start planning so much more than we ever have. Planning and visioning was being done here prior. It was not being done by the city. It was being done by developers. So
My other reason was because I asked that night, if this study was done now, was it going to be useful in the future when we would decide to do it? And he said probably not.
the cost.
So,
Yeah,
The cost.
You know, costs go up. So
But the thing is what can be done to that building that can make it usable for us in the future? I mean, are we talking about building up? Is the only way to make it usable?
Right.
Well, obviously we know it's going to cost more than $10,000.
right, so what are we going to do then?
Well, I don't know, but let's figure out what it is. My vote right now
We
would
actually-
probably not. I want to spend $300,000 on that.
Okay.
we got a comment too. Question.
I don't come to these meetings very often, but I think what I'm seeing is kind of some of what's concerning to the citizens of this community. And thinking about this information for this study for the police building or this place or whatever, what are you out with free information? Getting someone to offer you an assessment of where you're at, how usable that building is or isn't, or how usable this building is or isn't, and what would need to be. And like Whitney says, you have to start thinking for the future. And that being the case, I can't imagine that would have been an issue to not take this free information
this is supposed to be high level, right? We're just kind of going over this?
Yeah, we need to, so, I mean, what I'm gonna do with your rankings, I just need to make sure you have all the information you need so I can take your rankings from you tonight. So what's gonna happen then is, you know, I'm gonna average those, so there's gonna be an average score of all 5 of your scores, and that'll be in that ranking column. So then I can group them by fiscal year, and then I can start putting funding strategies together. So, you know, we failed a little bit in the goal setting process, I think, with this. So I just want everyone to keep in mind, though, as we put this stuff together, we gotta evaluate the level of service you want to provide to the residents, and then you're gonna have to, you know, commit to how we get that done. So these, you know, we don't just do this for fun. This is all kind of informing the next steps of the decision-making process. So yeah, so if there's any other information you need, or you weren't sure how to prioritize the item, okay, so we can go to page 2 probably.
I had a question on the walking track carpet. Is that question marked on the PCC?
Yeah, that was us. We kind of pushed it. We think it still looks good, so we kind of.
Okay. So is it,
It's something to be on the radar that is gonna have to get replaced eventually, but we actually put 6s on it, so it'll be right outside this capital improvement, just to kind of put it in there.
and the kitchen update is another?
We moved to, if 005 is still going to be, the banquet room, we kind of figured we'd take care of it with those ones, so, the CIP.
Page 2 is pretty much all.
Page 3, I got a couple questions too.
Okay, go to page 3.
Main entrance to ball fields.
So we kind of, when I went over with the board, put it to the side a little bit in terms of kind of what we've been talking about, pushing it off and seeing what the true future of the city and parks entail. If it's something that we are looking seriously at acquiring parkland, what are we looking at putting there? Is this truly going to be like our hub baseball area, or is it not, before we make the decision to say, yes, let's spend thousands of dollars on a main entrance, on cement, the entrance, on a ticket booth. Want to answer with sidewalks to it before we move in that direction. So the thought was the Parks Master Plan that you had just talked about, doing something to that effect, that hopefully that answers some of those questions for us before moving in that direction. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Next one I had was for Dean, the secondary sewer line from the main lift station to Industrial Drive. Are we still waiting on a study for that one then too, or?
Yes.
So
How far else is that?
5,
We never even actually got started on it.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually tied into what we just talked about. Really, the pumps and those lines and the capacity of those lift stations and the lines need to be evaluated.
so this could be something, I mean, we just patched the 2 pumps to get it by.
Correct.
So this is going to be something that needs to be done rather soon, once the
Well,
study
we're
is
rapid
done.
growth in town, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's something we obviously need to
all right.
focus some attention on. And also the thing we need to keep in mind with that secondary line, if we're gonna do some improvements, major improvement plan with Cap Drive, that's something we're gonna wanna do prior to resurfacing that.
So we won't
paving.
tear it up or, yeah,
Correct.
exactly. Yep.
That'd be to the main lift station, Dean.
Correct.
I got a couple questions on the last page that you just handed out too. Streets, but I don't know if you know this, Dean. Cox Springs, are we still waiting on the county to figure out what the split's gonna be there, what they're gonna do, or?
So what we have here, the line item on Cox Springs, is actually not the portion basically pertains from, Kelly Oak, or the south side of the railroad tracks to Highway 20, or the school.
That's our portion, you said?
Correct.
Oh, this isn't on the other side of 20.
No, there's two items on there. There's two
So-
Cox Springs items on there, right? One right on top of the other?
Yep, the south side. We're talking about the north, the city
Okay.
limits.
Yeah, the $100,000 overlay of Cox Springs, that's city limits.
So the south one is where the county's we're gonna work with the county then to reimburse. On the south side of Cox Springs, the other side.
Correct.
And this is our portion?
That's our portion.
This is
And
not
that's
our
up to
portion.
them.
This is north of Highway 20.
No, so.
No, the next one down is
I don't know,
100,000.
is that one on yours? That one? Yeah, sorry, this is it here, hand that to me.
Is that up to the county then? I mean, we're just waiting for the county on that.
Yeah. Is, okay, we're talking Cox Springs from railroad tracks to the Highway 20.
The first
Yes.
line.
That's on
Correct.
the-
That's on the.
What,
North of Highway
what,
20.
is that the county?
Mm-mm.
North of the tracks, is that the county?
Yes.
Are they willing to do anything at the same time, or?
Some of it.
North of the tracks is only half the county, or
Some of it's the city.
there's a good portion of it that's the city north of
Because
Highway
that
20.
land was annexed, right?
That's the problem with Cox Springs, so it literally flips back and forth, like there's a tiny section by birds, that's all the county, and then it's all ours, and it's part ours, and it's half, it's all chopped up.
Well, that's the worst part of the road, is the thing. I mean, it is the worst,
So
Yeah.
basically the west side of the road, north of the tracks,
is ours.
to the Lawler property fence line is ours.
All the way up to Lawler. That'll be to the Hill Highway.
He owns all that property.
All the way to the wall. I'm not sure the wall, that's on their house in Cox Springs, is in the city limits.
No, I know. The fence is south of the house. Well, it's basically where AV property, the joint wall.
Okay, yeah.
It's getting heavy traffic is all. I think we really need to, if we have responsibility for it, we need to throw it in with everything.
Yeah, I would agree.
Cause it's even worse than it is at this end.
And they had talked about doing north of the tracks this year, but that was before the construction season shrank down to nothing. So I would imagine they might try to do that next year, I don't know. That part they
I
were
would
gonna do
consider
this
that
year.
they're probably gonna go next year, considering that we're adamant about doing one again this year. Now, mind you, the money, so north of Highway 20, if we're ever gonna consider any sidewalk or anything, it's not included, that's just resurfacing.
The north of Cox Springs there?
So we do.
Cox Springs, north of Highway 20.
So we need to add sidewalk to that, don't we?
Well, but that's not the city limits though, right?
As of now, you can't add sidewalk to
Had $100,000.
get to Thunder Valley.
It's not city limits.
As of this price or as of,
As if the fact
You
that.
should say-
At this price, nor does the city own the property on either side.
Price is irregardless, you can't do it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, the price is only consists of resurfacing.
But you're saying, that even if we had $10 billion, there's not.
Can't
we
do
don't
it.
have the
It's not
right
the city
to do it.
limits.
No. The Hertz own the property on both sides from Birch Road to Thunder Valley to Juliana.
And the two sponsored projects at the bottom, they're kind of a time-sensitive thing as well, right?
Yeah, and Dean could maybe like pick his favorite. So I guess, would you agree that the Peosta Street turn lane culvert projects, that's the most pressing stormwater project?
Yes, as far as stormwater, yes.
Yes. And then maybe next, I think would be that the first year. You'd say that? I don't.
which one was the most pressing?
Most
The
pressing
turning
is
lane.
the culvert underneath Peosta Street, that's right, is that,
It's the
before
streets and
the
storm.
No, before the intersection? Yeah, sorry.
Install right turning.
The culvert between Cap Drive
And the Bird Street.
Bird
Is that just the culvert or is that the installing a turning lane? Or both?
That number is all there,
That's all? Okay.
yeah,
Which you might as well do if we're ripping her all up.
Right.
yeah.
Wouldn't that
But
help?
apparently, from what I hear, though, that culvert's like, could essentially collapse at any minute.
There's basically no bottom to it.
Really? Hmm.
So they didn't take care of that culvert when they were doing all that digging for the police station?
It's under the road.
It had nothing to do with the police station.
Goes from where to where?
This is going by your house across the road, Ridge Road.
It's right across from the intersection on Birds, crossing Piazza
You
Street.
just saw.
I think the map, on the map has it.
So basically where that concrete head wall is, close to that detention area behind Farm Bureau, there's a concrete head wall, that's where the storm sewer crosses Piazza Street.
Oh, okay. You're talking about up there.
Where the two catch basins are on Piazza Street in front of the police station,
Mhm.
to the south of that, the main storm sewer crosses.
Is there another one that comes on Bird Road too? Right by the stop sign there? Under the road?
No. Yeah, I'm sorry, up from the stop sign a little bit, yeah. From them two catch basins right there on Bird Road, yeah.
That's galvanized too, isn't it? Or no?
No, that's concrete.
That's concrete.
But that actually be on Bird Road.
Mm-hmm, yeah, it's on Birds.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I think seven partnership, that was intended to be an issue. You guys got numbers scribbled in there?
Yep.
You can just leave them in your spot.
Any other questions on CIP planning?
So I'm gonna take some weeks to start putting the report together, and it'll be the first, the meeting in December when I bring the draft, so. And it'll probably take, I assume once we get a draft, it'll take another month, probably even 6 weeks for us to get it exactly how we want, but that will still be a good time to inform the budget, so we can integrate the things we know we wanna do with fiscal 21.
Moving on to other business and correspondence. Do we have any others? No. I'll open it up to citizen comment. Doug?
Kevin, your parents hired Keith to be back with what was on for the transition.
I'm sorry.
He read back with the board, the council voted on for the mayor position.
Yes. It was a motion by Kathy Orr, seconded by Carl Reiter, to instruct the clerk to publish notice that the council intends to appoint a mayor at the November 26th meeting.
That's not on the agenda. How do we make that vote without a 24-hour notice? That's not on the agenda.
Mayor vacancy was on the agenda.
Read what it says to be on the agenda for the mayor vacancy.
Mayor vacancy was on the agenda, that's an
Read
item
what
we
it says.
could discuss.
Read what it says. Tell me what it says. I don't have my
Mayor
glasses.
vacancy.
John, will you read it to me?
Just says mayor vacancy.
Next item.
G, mayor vacancy.
Right, and then past that, it says by special election.
A lot of times there's
What?
resolutions that are put on there, and a lot of times we don't use those
You can
resolutions.
say what you want to say here, but this is the illegal. Period. It's not on the agenda. It's not on the agenda to tell them guys to post that tomorrow. I'm just saying. TH is sitting right here.
If you
Here I'm
think
talking
it's-
about the black eye, here it is, right here.
If you think it's illegal, you can pursue the matter.
I'm just saying. Somebody probably will.
That's fine. Because I don't think we've done anything wrong. To the best of my knowledge, we haven't done anything illegal.
I have two comments. One, what I urge tonight is the city council knows better what I want than what I want. Because I made it clear also when I asked them Thursday that I thought a special election was appropriate. There's no rush. I think the notion that it has to be hurried or there's a time constraint is artificial. It's not relevant to me. I can speak for that. And I want to have a say in that. And that has been taken away from me as a citizen. Second point I have is when we talk about doing a study or looking at alternatives, I've heard that we already spent too much money on that. That's a sunk cost, in financial terms, sunk cost. You never make a decision on what to do in the future based on what's invested in the past. You simply look at your current situation, you look at your options available, and you pursue the one that makes the most sense. The fact that money was spent, and we can all agree that maybe it was spent unwisely, the fact that the matter is that's behind us, we can't change it, we can't recover it, and it is not a factor in making a decision of what you do going forward, logically. So I would ask the council to consider that before we make a decision on what to do there too. And I said two, can I have a third? I would like to ask the city administrator for the procedure of backfilling the open council position if this procedure goes through and Karen is appointed as mayor, or a mayor is appointed from an existing city council.
You would like, the procedure?
How do we backfill the council position?
City council.
Yep, so essentially, it would be the same procedure. So the council would have their statutorily given the authority to appoint any eligible resident to that seat. So the same timeline, the timeline would exist. They would have 60 days to make that appointment. And it would, again, follow the exact same process. So they would be required to direct the clerk to publish a notice that they intend to appoint. That notice would be published at the next council meeting. The council could make officially an appointment. The residents would then have 14 days after that appointment is made to file a petition requesting that said council seat be open to special election. If they file that petition, a special election would be scheduled. If they don't, that appointment would be formalized on the 14th, at the close of the 14th day.
Okay, to clarify, is the newly appointed mayor voting on that proposal to backfill?
No, she
No.
would no longer, any newly appointed mayor would no longer be eligible to vote upon the formalization of their appointment as mayor.
No, I meant on the subsequent backfilling,
The council.
No.
the
See,
council
no,
decision
she-
to appoint.
No, so
the
even,
council.
so if we get to next Tuesday without receiving a petition, if Kathy makes a similar motion, then Karen could be appointed as mayor. That, she's temporarily installed in that position and immediately loses voting privileges. Once, any mayor immediately would lose, no longer has, their duties no longer include the voting.
My question to the council then would be, will we appoint that position too, or will we elect that?
That's on the special election.
Why should I believe that? I was just asked and advised I wanted an election for mayor, and I didn't get it. Now I'm being told I'll get an election for the council position.
You're still getting a chance for the mayor
I
position.
wanted a vote. I don't want
are
to,
getting
Still have the opportunity.
I don't want to say yes or no to a person who was pre-selected for me. I would like to see the community be able to put nominations forward.
They will.
They have an option.
They
For the
have that
meeting.
option after the yes, the 14 days.
Within the 14 days.
During the next 2 weeks, you can file. Could somebody explain it better than I could?
Yeah, so starting basically now, the city clerk's office can accept a petition with 45 signatures requesting that the mayor vacancy be filled by special election. So there's the time between now and the next meeting, and then there's also an additional 14-day period after the next meeting when an appointment is made that the city clerk's office is able to accept that petition.
What's needed for that petition?
Just a statement of desire that the vacancy be filled by special election and 45 signatures, including addresses of eligible Peosta voters.
So I have to go get 45 addresses to get what I told this council on Thursday I thought we should do.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm done, thank you.
Yeah, so, like, I just don't get what was wrong with the special election. Like, why we shouldn't do it.
There's no reason not to. You can still do it.
I'm saying, why wait the 14 days to have you go through it and just have us veto it and then go back to square one where we were and elect a new person? What's the point of having that?
It's a great question, isn't it?
The idea was to have a smooth transition from the last election and carry on with business at hand. And it would have been the easiest way to do it. But apparently not everybody agrees with that, so now we have the election.
Matt, I think you said you didn't want to waste time.
Most councils would just appoint somebody in the interim and then have, if somebody wants special election.
It's not uncommon to appoint someone
It's
to
more common.
fill a vacancy till the next election. And she had the qualifications, that's
But I
why.
think though it's if there is a standout person that the council, the whole council stands up and says, yep, that's our person. We don't have that.
Well, it's like Pat Kelly said.
Right.
100%.
Our city administrator, everybody's gotta be on board 100%.
So if timing is so much of a factor for you guys or for whoever, why don't we just do the election? If you already know, say you're the front runner for the election, why would we need to have the council appoint them when if there's already a clear option, why would we just let the people vote on it?
Elections take up time and money, and if it can be avoided, fine. If it can't, then that's what the people should
I
do.
get that, but you said you wanted to wait the 14 days for 45 people to sign this paper, and then you'd just be wasting time either way. You'd still be wasting that 14 days.
I was hoping that it would push the election beyond the first of the year.
It would be no matter what.
7 days.
It's gonna be it's gonna be January 7th no matter what. We're rehashing stuff, and we can be here all night discussing this. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Can I?
Fair enough.
Jerry,
Kathy,
Trying to